Welcome back to Hillbilly, Hippie, Honeybees, West Virginia's premium honey, and I'm Clint Baker, and we are going to sit out here and discuss a little bit about some things that are coming up in the next month. But first of all, just wanted to welcome all of y'all that have never been to our channel before, and thank you to all those who continually come back and support us, and we just appreciate everything that you do for us. This season, you know, we have had some weird stuff going on. I know here in West Virginia, in the southern West Virginia area, as far as our growth and all that stuff. This video will come out here in a week or so, but we're in the beginning of September and we're already seeing goldenrod blooming, or some of the varieties of the goldenrod blooming here in our area. And so you need to stay on top of things as we're going into winter, I guess is what I'm getting at, especially when it comes to food in the brood box. Make sure that you have enough. But that leads us into what we're going to talk about today. So today, I just want to talk about 5 things or so that you need to really start paying attention to, especially going into September, to get those winter preparations started. We talked a lot about this in last month's, or in the last checklist video, and so now we are starting to prepare for winter and starting to hopefully so we can have some good strong hives going into winter, right? That's what we all want. So anyway, let's go over a few of these and talk about them and get with it. What do you say? All right, so number 1, and this is your top priority starting now, right? We want to stay on top of those Varroa mite checks. And if you treat, we want to stay on top of the treating. You want to perform the checks just rather than assuming, okay? Because we want to make sure that the counts are really low going into winter, because they will rise throughout the winter as well, and we don't want that to happen. Well, I guess what we want is we want the bee population to outweigh the Varroa mite population. And so September is a critical time to protect your bees from the Varroa mite and to get that winter population up, okay? You're going to start trying to get your winter bees, the population up as high as you possibly can. All right, so whether that's stimulation in their feeding, maybe combining 2-week colonies, whatever it may be, this is the time you're going to start thinking about doing those things. Whenever you are treating, if you do treat, make sure you're following the product label. The weather during this time of the year, we're in dog days, it can be very, very hot one day, and then the next day it could be very cool. So some of the treatments are susceptible to very hot weather. You don't want to put them in very hot weather. Some the opposite. So what you want to do is you want to figure out what you want to treat with, follow those directions, and if that's what you want to do, so treat. But you don't want to wait till like October to discover that, hey, my Varroa mite population is very high, my bee mite population is down, because by then it's going to be a little late, and then you'll have to make some other decisions at that point in time. All right, so number 1, and probably the most crucial right now during our September month, is Varroa mite checks. If you treat, Varroa mite treatment. All right, so number two, and probably as important as your Varroa mite checking, is your evaluation of your queen, because we are at that point to where September is very hard to do queen replacements right now in our area of West Virginia. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I'm saying it's you got a less likelihood of things turning out positive. All right, but what you're wanting to look for in there is fresh eggs. Does she got fresh eggs? Is it a solid brood pattern? Okay, not a spotty brood pattern. Are the appropriate amount of the brood capped the way it should be? But looking for that. And then that way you have a good, healthy population of bees, young bees, now, and as you go into winter, that healthy, strong population will carry you through. And so we just want to give them every possible chance we can, right, to get through the winter and get through the winter months strong and healthy and all that. So if your colony does have a poor queen, again, September is getting late for a simple just queen replacement here in West Virginia. So you may want to consider, like we talked about just a few minutes ago, combining the weak colonies together. Bob Benny always says he'd rather have his losses in the fall than in the spring or through the winter. So that would be a good thing to do, right? It'd be a good thing to go ahead and combine your weaker colonies, maybe figure out which queen is the strongest queen, pinch off one, combine them together, then you got one strong, massive colony going through the winter. And then guess what you can do on the other end when it makes it through? You could split them back apart and go ahead and have you another queen ready. And you could do a split there. You could do walkaway splits. You could do whatever. But to get them through the winter, having that strong population is going to be what you want to have for that particular colony, right? So let's figure out on the queen. Is the queen a good, strong queen doing her job, or do we need to end up combining some of these colonies together now for the winter months ahead? So number three, you want to assess the winter food stores. This is what we're going to start doing from here on out until we close them up for the winter. So what you want to look for is how much honey is present and capped. All right, that's what you want to start looking for now. How much nectar is coming in? You know, like we were talking at the beginning of the video, our nectar flows have been very early this year. So as we get towards winter and as we get towards, getting them ready and closing them up for the winter, you need to pay specific attention to how much is in there, all right? You also want to pay attention to how much bee bread, how much pollen they brought in, okay? Do they have enough for the winter, all right? Now, you also want to make sure, and don't get caught with your pants down like we did this past winter in the one bee yard, you want to make sure, does the queen have enough room to lay with all the stores that are in there? So she still has to have room to lay for all the stores that are in there as well. So you don't want to go in with too much, right? And don't automatically assume, because the top box, if you're running like a double deep through the winter, don't automatically assume that they've got enough just because the top box is full. That bottom box may be empty now, so you may have to do some quick rotations around of some frames and get them down into the bottom. Maybe you shove them all the way down into one single brood box for the winter. We run a lot like that, and it seems to work through the winter pretty good. They don't have as big an area to warm up, and they don't have as big an area to have to move around in to get their food. So they're very resourceful when it comes to that. Is the colony heavy enough for the winter? As means it have enough numbers, all right? Just be looking at that and making sure that they have enough numbers. Again, talking about the nest being crowded. Not crowded of bees, but crowded of stores and crowded of places for the queen to lay. That's very important right now, because she's still going to be laying through the winter some. And we don't want them to get honey bound or pollen bound, and then they end up absconding on you midway through the winter. So number three, check the excess stores. Make sure the stores look good. Make sure that they're filling things up the way they should and getting ready for their winter preparations. All right, so that leads us into number four. So number four, start feeding your colonies that are a little short, all right? So you can bump it up a little bit. We've been feeding them 1-to-1 all the way now, up till this point. and you might be able to get away with it through the month of September, and putting some stimulation in there, maybe some brood buster or something like that, Hive Alive stuff to stimulate the her lay more eggs and have more brood, and maybe things of that nature. Okay, but as time gets closer to the fall, you're going to start bumping up more sugar versus more water, especially as it gets colder at night. So you may end up midway through the month going to 2 to 1, maybe towards the end of the 2 to 1. You just have to kind of monitor the weather on that and see what you got going on around you. If the colony doesn't look adequate on the stores, again, make sure you're feeding them. All right. September is generally a much better time to build stores than waiting until October or November. Again, once we get into October and November, we're starting to push the cold, getting closer to the cold weather and starting to push. We should be all ready to get ready to start buttoning them up for the winter in our area. All right. So for colonies that need more stores, again, rather than feeding larger ones, maybe you need to combine and get your weaker colonies to the stronger colonies. And there's different ways you can do that, right? You can kill the queen, put them together. You can use the double screen boards and set a weaker colony over a stronger colony. That'll help them stay warm through the winter. So there's many ways you can do that. You do you, and whatever works best for you. All right. So it's going to depend on your area. We talk about that a lot. So just make sure that you're monitoring the weather in your area, monitoring the nectar flow in your area, monitoring the bloom in your area, and all that good stuff. So that's what you're going to definitely need to do to be able to have good food stores going in the winter. All right, so that leads us into number 5, and this is something you should be watching and monitoring because like I said, let's see, August, we already had goldenrod blooming, which should be blooming majorly in September, right? So things are a little bit early. I think I've even seen a little bit of the maybe aster and stuff starting to pop a little bit too, but you got to keep an eye on that, right? But West Virginia can have useful late season foraging, and that's usually your goldenrod when you start seeing your goldenrod bloom, and your aster, and what else? Let's see, smartweed, just things like that, right? They're going to be blooming. I'm drawing a blank this morning. Haven't had enough coffee yet, I guess. But you need to be monitoring that, because if it shuts down early and dies off early, you're probably going to have to get some supplemental feed in on them, or you're not going to be able to pull as big of a fall pull from them. So those are things you got to monitor on all that, and that is something I want to go into. Maybe this is a bonus. All right, is that if you plan on doing a fall honey pull, you really got to be paying attention to all the stuff that we just talked about, because what you don't want to do is pull too much. All right, you might be thinking, well, I need to make some good money off some honey this fall into winter. I get that, but would you rather do that or lose bees because they starved out? Right, so you gotta weigh your options there, and again, make sure that you are getting them ready for this next push that we're going to have into winter. All right. Oh, so those were the 5 things we want to talk about going into September. There are other things you need to be doing, like your equipment. Again, making sure you got enough equipment, making sure equipment is painted, making sure equipment is fixed, making sure your bee yards are starting to get ready for the winter months, those types of things. But those are just the top 5 things that we wanted to make sure that you are doing into September, because they are the most crucial. Because the majority of them we talked about in the last video for August on the to-do list, so you can go back and watch that. A lot of those carry into this month as well. And so go back and check on that one real quick as well. All right. But yeah, we just want everybody to have good, strong bees, good, healthy bees going into the winter, and all that good stuff for each of you. And so these are the things that you need to do to try to help with that coming up. So what's blooming in your area right now? Is there anything odd about your season going on this year? Is there anything you want to learn about, us touch on going into the winter months here? Just leave the comments down below if that's the case. Leave the questions. We'll touch on them. If we don't know the answers, we will get somebody smarter than us here to talk about them, or we'll go find the answers. All right, how about that? But anyway, let's get ready for the winter. We appreciate all of y'all stopping by. We appreciate all y'all that come back on a regular basis and join with us. And God bless you. Okay, so one thing I want to correct from a video or so ago was I talked about things that you can plant for your pollinators, especially for honeybees. And I had misspoke. I was thinking of red clover when I said crimson clover about honeybees not getting into them. And I don't know why I said that, but I just want to correct that they will get into crimson, but for the red clover, for the most part, they will not. But just wanted to correct that for you because it was pointed out to me, and you know, we want to make sure that you have the right information.